is that, Pedro? Okay. Thank you guys for coming. That's our show, right there. All right, yes, again, thank you very much for coming. Like you saw, this is a 10-day event. This is day 2, so we still got 8 days left. This is all for the Midnight Mission, and this year we have over 500 actors sharing these stories today. So all the stories that you hear are true, and our goal is to humanize homelessness. You know what I mean? We don't want to have the homeless that be what they're identified by. They're us, we see them all the time, and so hopefully these stories shed a positive human light.
I just wanted to also thank you guys for coming. A lot of familiar faces out there. It really means a lot. Thank you guys. I just want to tell you guys real quick about what the Midnight Mission is and what it's doing. So it was founded in 1914, and it offers a lot of different paths for a lot of different people. Self-sufficiency for women and children dealing with homelessness, emergency services, 12-step recovery, family living, job training, education, workforce development programs. It does so many things. We took a tour of the mission. They have a barbershop, a dentist, an acting class. All those things are free to them. And it's because of things like this as well. You know, we're doing something greater, not just for ourselves, but for the city of Los Angeles that we see every day. And sometimes we choose to just kind of ignore it like it's another separate world. But it's not. We live in the same place, you know? So thank you guys for coming. If you want to learn more about the Midnight Mission, you can go to midnightmission.org, or Homeward LA is homewardla.org for more information. At this time, guys, please silence your cell phones for the respect of the performers, and hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you, guys.
Dear Mom, I bet you're surprised to be getting this letter. It's been a long time. I've been thinking about my life a lot lately, Mom, how I ended up where I ended up. And I thought I should write it. Not to try and explain or make excuses for the things I've done, but to share something with you. Something I think it's important you know. You ever see a homeless guy walking along, talking to himself? You think maybe they're crazy, right? Well, if you ever see me talking, it's not to myself. No, I'm talking to God. And you can believe him and me got a lot to talk about. We got real history. You see, my father was a minister. And he did everything he could for anybody he could. Didn't matter if you were rich or poor, part of the flock or not. You needed help, he was there. He was the best man I ever knew. I was proud to be his son. Now me, when I was like 9 years old, my class had a project. What do you want to be when you grow up? Some of the kids said fireman, some said policeman, the suck-up said teacher. But me, I said professional thief or hitman. I meant it too. That was the first time my parents were called in to talk to the teacher about me. The day they realized that I was different than the other kids. The thing is, I knew I'd never be the man my father was, that I would never measure up. So I spent my whole life being so different that nobody could compare me to him. I accomplished what I set out to do in school that day. Now, I wasn't a hitman, but I was a thief. How'd that go? Well, I ended up on the streets getting loaded every chance I could, so not great. But eventually I got clean, and I moved back home with my parents. I got married. I had a daughter. I was working as a contractor. I was doing good. My parents even started trusting me again. Then my father had an accident. His legs got burned up in an electric blanket that caught fire. We didn't realize how bad it was until later. He went into a coma, and we had to... He was my father, this great man who devoted his life to the Lord and to everyone around him, who never spent one day thinking of himself, only of others. And he died this horrible death, scared and in pain. And that day, the day we had to turn off his machines, I decided I didn't believe in God anymore. And I fell off the wagon hard, and I wound up back on the streets for years. Something about me, I walk. I love to walk. Even when I'm loaded at my worst, I walk. I love the freedom. Sometimes when I'd be walking, I'd be talking to God, telling him I hated him, that he didn't deserve the praise. He didn't deserve a man as great as my father. I told him there was no reason a man like that should have to die in pain. That if he couldn't spare that kind of man, then what good was he? But what I didn't know at the time was something had happened. Something started when my father was brought to the hospital. See, the cops used to chase me all the time. I would see them and I would run. But during the thing with my father, we kind of got to know each other, me and the cops. And they kind of saw that I wasn't so bad. That I was just a regular guy who made mistakes like everyone else. So when I started getting loaded and hit the streets again, instead of chasing me, they would stop and ask me how I was doing. Then one day, they came to me and they told me they had picked up a homeless guy and took him to the hospital. He was all alone. Would I mind going and just sitting with him? So I did. And they started to ask me to do this again and again. They would pick me up and I would go read to them. Or just sit with them, just to let them know that somebody cared. You see, everybody needs it. Living on the streets could be lonely. Believe me, I know. Mom, I know you're disappointed in me, but I want to tell you that in the city of Norwalk, if a homeless person gets sick, the cops come out and look for me. Not to arrest me, but to bring me there to sit with them. One night they told me about this lady who was dying. She was pretty old and it was just her time. They said she had no family as far as they knew and asked if I would come sit with her. So I went and I held her hand while she slept. She opened her eyes once and saw me holding her hand. She closed her eyes and she passed. I'm sitting there in this quiet room holding that lady's hand and I realized something. In the end, Dad dying actually allowed me to find myself, to find my calling. God does work in mysterious ways, and I believe again. I'm not the man Dad was, not even close, but I am proud of who I am now. maybe for the first time in my life. I am sober now. I have been for a while. I'm not going back again, ever. See, this time I have a purpose. I know you sometimes blame yourself, but I had a childhood as good as anybody's. We didn't have a lot of money, but I couldn't tell. You were the den mother, the mother who took all the kids to the beach. You made sure we had food and clothing and love. There was nothing more you could do for me, Mom. You spent a lot of years wondering what you did wrong. The answer is nothing. You were a perfect mother, and I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry you had to think you weren't. I love you and miss you. Love, Dusty.
When I was 15, I got bused from my neighborhood to Monroe High School, up in San Fernando Valley, you know, the suburbs. I loved Monroe. I loved it. I mean, the people was nice, it was clean, and they had a lot of books, like a whole lot of books. I felt safe. But then, after being there about a year or so, I got real sick with the flu or something. Put me in the hospital for about a good week. And because of that, my mama, she pulled me out of Monroe. She put me in Huntington Park High. Now, Huntington Park was dangerous. We had F-13s, 18th Street, King Street, Bloods. You know, they was all my schoolmates. But I didn't pay them any mind. You know, I kept my head down, I stayed out of trouble. And every day I prayed I'd get home safe. And I did. You know, I was blessed. See, safety is important to me. And not just my safety. I like to make sure that the people around me feel safe too. That's why when I was 16, maybe 17, I was over at the La Brea Tar Pits, and I saw those people, you know, standing there. They got their uniforms on, scanning the scene, making sure the families are safe, having a good time. And I thought, you know what? I want to be a security guard. Now, I know what you're thinking. Security guards don't do nothing but stand around all day. They're like fake cops. I mean, I get it. I saw Mall Cop. I saw that movie. I thought it was funny. But you see, that's not me. Okay, I'm not no joke. You gotta have patience to be a security guard. Communication skills, you gotta work well with the public. And to be honest, you know, there's a lot of you people out there that straight up just don't listen. Okay, and I know you know who you are. But one thing I bet you didn't know is that security guards are first responders. See, those were some of the people that died in the Twin Towers on 9/11. I remember I remember this one day, this lady called because they needed armed guards to go help out with Hurricane Katrina. And I wanted to go. I did. But see, I don't fly. Like, seriously, guys, I just do not fly. I don't do it. Also, it's Louisiana. You know, I mean, all kinds of things happen down there. I don't know. But then, I mean, she told me she was going to pay me $5,000 a week. So next thing I know, me, my gun, and my Bible are on a plane to Louisiana. And when I got there, oh man, I couldn't believe it. You know, we all saw it. We all saw it on TV, but it was nothing like what it actually was when you're standing there in the middle of it. Everywhere I looked was water and mud. The streets, the stores, houses was flooded. I saw trees fell over. They're just laying on their side. And the smell, oh my, it was something that I just had never smelled before. It was really hard to understand what these people were going through. And at night, I'd lay awake in bed. I had my Bible over my heart, and I'd just pray for them. You know, I'd pray. Now, most of the time I was out there, I was assigned to the command center. But one day, they needed me to escort this electrician so he could work on the down lines. And it was dangerous. People were desperate. They were out there stealing, looting. And it was my job to stand by his truck and protect him so he could get service back out to the people. So for 12 hours, I stood watch. He worked on the lines. Now I didn't go sit in the truck. I didn't go lean up on nothing, no. I did my job and he did mine. Because we was helping people that day. That's what we was doing. You know, and I was so proud of the work I did in Louisiana, and I was so proud of the work I did as a security guard. I mean, I bought me an apartment, a nice apartment. I bought a Lexus. Security it was good to me. Real good. But then, a little while after I got back from Louisiana, I started having these embarrassing situations at work. I was bleeding a whole lot. Every half hour I had to go and change. I remember this one time my friend, she came to pick me up, give me a ride home after my shift, and I bled through my uniform onto her seat. And I mean, she said it was okay, but you know what is she gonna say? I don't know. Overall, I felt okay. Like, I felt fine. I thought maybe my period was just off, and so I kept working. I wanted to work. I needed to work. But then a couple months went by, and I was just weak. I was so weak, and I was tired all of the time. So I finally went to the doctor. And cancer in the uterus is what he told me. And he said it needed to be removed immediately. Then he asked me if I wanted to have kids. And I had never thought about that before. And how do you make a life decision like that in one moment? I couldn't speak. I stood there and I was sad. I remember I was so sad, and I prayed. In the end, I decided that I wanted to live, so I had the operation. And then just 6 months later, they removed my ovaries as well. After that, my body was the weakest it had ever been, and I didn't have the fight in me like I once had. I didn't want to admit it, but I couldn't work anymore. I couldn't handle it. I lost almost everything. And, you know, not just the material things that I used to enjoy, like taking trips and pampering myself. I lost my job. I missed security. I missed helping people. But, you know, I still got my faith. I do. And to be honest, I'm just back to doing what I was doing over there at Huntington Park High. I'm keeping my head down, minding my business, and I'm staying out of trouble. And every day, I pray that I get home safe.
Hello? Okay. Well, my grandma used to say that whenever I'm sad, I put a little lipstick on and I feel better. So, one time when I was 8, I tried it and she yelled at me. She was like, "What are you doing? That's a girl thing." She had no idea what was coming. So my mom had me when she was 13. She became an addict and she would trade me for drugs. The dealers would have their way with me while she was getting her fix. Eventually, I was given over to my grandmother, but I kept getting into trouble and she couldn't take care of me anymore, so they put me into foster care. My foster parents let me do whatever the hell I wanted. Like, seriously, they were just happy with getting the checks. So I never really felt like I belonged anywhere. You know, I bounced around from home to home. You know, I wasn't a girl, but I didn't feel like a boy. In high school, the principal would scold me saying, "Boys can't wear makeup in school." I wasn't doing it for attention. It's just that I was struggling with who I was, and fashion was like my art and my therapy, you know? So it was a way for me to express myself while still hiding behind a disguise, if that makes sense. So sometimes I'd be wearing like a normal collared button down, like today. And other times, I'd be walking down the street in like dark taffeta sunglasses with like a big hat on, you know? And this wasn't like Rialto, okay? This wasn't no West Hollywood or New York City. When I was 22, I was trying to get sober for the first time. Now, my AA group was putting on a themed drag show. Girls of the 80s. It was a pageant. Now, it had never occurred to me to form a drag before, but I was like, yes! It just felt right, you know? I already liked dressing up, but I'd never done it before. To music, on stage, in front of an audience. Oh my God. Luckily, I had 4 months to prepare, so every day I was doing something. I was choreographing, sewing, practicing my makeup. I didn't know what I was doing though. Like, I don't even know what contouring was, okay? Do you know what contouring is? I didn't think so, honey. If you do, show me. Okay. Anyway, I was backstage before the show, and I was so nervous. Like, I was scared of being judged, you know, for my choices. I was doubting my creativity. But at that point, there was just no turning back. So, I wore the Madonna Like a Virgin wedding ensemble with the lacy gloves and the bangles and the veil, and it was so beautiful. I also grew out my hair so it was just long enough to crimp, and when I walked out, I was so petrified, like I was so scared. But by the end of the routine, I couldn't wait to get back out there. So, the next round was the talent portion of the competition. Now my talent was hooker, chola, realness. Basically, I was a bad bitch. Jeans, crop top, big hoop earrings, lip liner without the lipstick. I danced to Tina Marie's Lover Girl, I love that song, and I wore these like big stripper boots, but I was so scared of like falling in them because I have weak ankles. Shh, don't tell anybody. But it was just so beautiful. And by the way, did I mention at the time, I was like 250 pounds, okay? So that's right, I owned it. Next up, the third part was the swimsuit question and answer. Now, I glided in this like beautiful tiny triangle top bikini number, and the judges said, "What does your higher power look like?" Well, I was like, "My higher power is Jesus, hallelujah, guns, and fried chicken, honey, fan pop." Boom. That was like my drop the mic moment. The crowd went wild. People still quote me. Then, after that, I ran backstage to get to my evening gown look. Divine from the movie Pink Flamingos. You guys know Divine, right? The drag queen who played Ricky Lake's mom in the original Hairspray. Anyway, I wore this like tight red dress with a flare at the bottom, and I put on bright blue eyeshadow up to like here. And I was gonna go for that straight black eyebrow look, but I couldn't find my makeup pencil anywhere. I panicked. I was like, oh my God. And then I saw it. A black Sharpie. I was like, I'm just gonna go for it and I will worry about it later. Anyway, after that, I was putting on my wig and bald cap on for that receding beehive hairdo look. And as I was putting the bald cap on, it ripped. I was like, oh my God, you guys, I was freaking out. So I made a split decision in that very moment, and I shaved my head, and I super glued the wig directly onto my scalp. I know. But when I walked out, I was beauty, I was grace, I was divine. The crowd jumped out of their seats. They were cheering, whistling, and shouting. And in all that mayhem, suddenly, everything just slowed down. And I felt the most present I'd ever been. And I don't know how to explain it other than this. It was like God was looking back at me, and He was telling me that it was okay to be me, that it was okay to be different, that it was okay. My performance was entertaining, though maybe a little rough around the edges. I didn't have the finesse or the presentation that I do have now. These days, I have a small fan base. I actually get paid to perform. My costumes are flawless, my routines are polished, I'm cut, I'm chiseled, I'm angled to perfection. I'll never forget that first drag show. When I shaved my head to be divine. And I felt like myself for the first time in my life. Grandma was right.
When I was a kid, there was a theme park in Van Nuys. I don't know if you guys remember, some of you. So like basically, Budweiser was running a pinchy amusement park, man. Seriously. You guys, yeah, double fisting the beer? Yeah, you would love that. My dad would take us there because, you could drink there. All through the park, you could drink. Everywhere. So that's where we'd go. I mean, it was my Disneyland. It wasn't my Disneyland, but it was Busch Gardens. So inside the park, there was these pavilions, right? Where you would get two free beers at every one. So my mom didn't drink, right? So she would give her 2 beers to my dad. And my aunt didn't drink. So she would give her 2 beers to my dad. And my dad would have his 2 beers. Y el vato estaba bien pedo, el jefito. And he was gone. I remember I was 5 years old, and we were walking around the park. It was my parents, my aunt, my sisters. My dad was having his beers. I remember he had a big smile. And I remember thinking, if I go a little further, like stop here, and they continue on, I could turn around and I could do the park all by myself. I don't know why I thought that. I was just a little kid, But I didn't have to follow them. I could do whatever I want. I could check things out. I could get on every ride. I mean, I could explore. I could have an adventure all by myself. So I stopped walking, and I let him walk. A little further, a little further, a little further, until they went too far. I turned around and I was out of there. I was out, and I stood in line for the boat ride. I mean, I was 5 years old, alone. And I guess nobody knew what was happening because the family in front of me, they probably thought I was with the family behind me. And the family behind me, they thought I was with the family in front of me. Or it was the 80s, I don't know. But there I was in the boat ride. And the announcer, he goes, "Hello, going to Africa, going to the jungle." So I'm there at the jungle, right? And that's so exciting. I mean, you see these elephants with their baby elephants, and they take in water with their trunks, and then they're wetting all of us. We're getting all wet, and it's exciting. I mean, there's a 5-year-old kid, alone. But I was fearless. I wasn't scared of anything. And then there's these hippopotamuses. The announcer says the boat is pretty dangerous. And these hippopotamuses, they just start attacking the boat, one by another, another, and then all of a sudden there's a flock of them. And then there's tribal drumming. Then there's cannibals all over the beach, and they're throwing spears, and we're ducking and we're swaying, and I don't know what to do, but I'm having fun. I'm scared. No, I'm not scared. No, I'm having fun. And it's just, that was the best day of my life. Best day. And then the ride finished, and we got out. You know, everybody got out. I wanted to stay, but we went out, and I walked the park a little more. I got on more rides, and I couldn't see my family. I don't know where they were. I didn't know how I was gonna get home. But you know, I didn't care, because I was a free spirit. A free spirit walking around in this world, having the time of my life. Until I saw them. I saw my family. I saw my aunt, my sisters. They were around my parents. They were looking away. And my mother, she was next to my dad, but she was just like looking over him, just yelling at him and yelling at him. And I just stood there watching them. Frozen. I didn't know what to do. And my sisters, they saw me. They're like, Mama, Mario, ahí está. And my mother, she saw me, and she looks back at my dad, and she's like, sí, ahí está tu hijo, yeah. There's your son. You're satisfied? I had no choice, so I went over to my dad, and he was just like hunched, and he barely looked up. Me dijo, vete con tu mamá. So I went to my mother, and she grabbed me, and she's like, ¿Estás bien? Mijo, what happened? ¿Qué te pasó? ¿Estás bien? And I don't know why, but I lied. And then my mother goes to my dad, and she continues to scream at him, and she's like, ya ves, pendejo, te dije, eres inútil, no sabes ni madre, cabrón, no sirves para nada, bueno para nada. And you know, in a Mexican family, the father always takes care of the family. And my father's just sitting there, shameful, and I could see the frustration, you know, the frustration building in him. And I was scared. I was scared because I seen much violence in my home. Violence you can't even imagine. But this time was different. This time was different because I created this. It was my fault. It was my fault, man. It was my fault. You know, we were having such a good time. It was a magical day, a majestic day. Everybody was cool. My dad was so happy. And all of a sudden, it was over just like that. You know, you get to relax and enjoy the day, but you know, there's always something there that you need to be afraid of. We took a taxi home, Except my dad. My dad stayed by himself. He wouldn't come home. I mean, it wasn't the first or the last time. He didn't come home. But short after that, after he left us for good, I got to go to Disneyland. But there wasn't no Busch Gardens.
I am a big Christmas person. Like, and when I say big, I take it to like the next level. You know, like Christmas is a huge deal with my family. Like my family, we would all drive to Texas to see my grandmother, and we would really do Christmas down there. Like, I remember me and my stepbrothers, we would go searching for the presents all through the house. Like, we would search every corner of the house, and to this day, I don't know where they hid the dang on presents, you know, but the next morning, the living room would be filled, we all lit up, and we would eat dinner as a family, and I don't know, it was beautiful. And I feel like that's what Christmas is supposed to be. But like me, my son, my daughter, and my mama, we didn't have anywhere to live. Christmas, you know, is the last thing on my mind. We were living in like this rundown travel lodge, and I'm like, what the hell am I gonna do? Like, we didn't have no decorations, no tree, we ain't had no money for no gifts. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want this day to come and be gone. So it's like maybe we can just go to the nearby park and I can barbecue and prepare a meal and, you know, just try to get our mind off of everything. So of course we're the only people at the park, and like my son, he didn't understand because he was still, you know, young, but my daughter, woo-hoo-hoo, she understood, and I couldn't even look at her, and we didn't even talk that much that day, you know, because it wasn't that she was just disappointed, if she was confused, she was mad, you know, like, what the hell is this? Like, why are you doing this to me, and why are we here? And I mean, honestly, I felt the same way, because like a handful of Christmases ago, she had one of the best Christmases, and okay, so like my son was like 5 months and she was like 5, and she wanted one of those, like one of those my size Barbies. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go find you a my size Barbie. But what was screwing us up is that we wanted a black my size Barbie. You know, I don't really think Jasmine would care like what the doll looked like, but I wanted her to have something that looked like her, right? So we go to store after store, this white Barbie after white Barbie. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, where the hell are all the black my size Barbies? You know, all these white people, I know they ain't up in here buying them, so where they at? So her dad, you know, he's like, you need to double check and blah, blah, blah. So I call, and
The guy on the phone's like, yeah, ma'am, we have one left. And I'm like, please, can you please hold this Barbie? I like begged him to hold it. And we got in the car and we drove all the way from Oakland to this Toys R Us in South San Francisco. And we got the doll. So then on Christmas, we thought it'd be funny if we hid it, right? So Jasmine, she's opening all her presents and she was like, oh, mommy, this is so nice. And oh, mommy, I really like this. You know, meanwhile, I know she's like, where's this damn doll that I asked my mom to buy me? So she gets to her last gift and she's like, is there anything, you know, else? And we're like, what do you mean? She's like, you know, like the last thing that was on my list. And we're like, oh, baby, we're sorry, we couldn't find it. You know, they didn't have any more. And she held it together for like a second and a half, and then she just burst out crying. Yeah, we thought it was pretty funny, so. Her dad was like, go look in the corner there. There's a present in the corner. And she runs to the corner, she grabs the present, she rips it open, and she freaked out. Like she was so happy, and she took the doll out and she undressed it, because you know they're the same size. She puts on the little pink and gold dress and the little crown, and you know, she's like dancing around and smiling, and it was so cute. But that day in the park, she wasn't smiling at all. You know, it's like she hated me. And she told me that, Mama, you need to make a phone call. Like, Daddy will give us whatever we need. I don't know why you're putting us through this. He'll send us money. Like 11 years old, and she told me that. See, I had left him not too long ago because of the abuse. You know, the physical abuse, it has stopped at some point, but like the mental and the emotional abuse, it just kept going and going, you know, and after a while, when someone has you mentally, any little thing will bring your self-esteem down. And I just needed to detach from that relationship. Like, that was my sacrifice. Because what would my children think of me if I would have stayed in it? So I looked my daughter in the eye and I told her, look, you are a child, and you are a child in the middle of some adult stuff, but I promise you, I'm gonna get better, I'm gonna do better. And you know, her face didn't change because she didn't know what I knew. But that was a promise I was going to keep.
October 15th of 2015. After weeks of badgering Ricardo, he finally gave me a date. It was October 15th of 2015. That was when me and my kids were gonna move into our first little home. I've been in sober living for a while when a friend of mine turned me onto these apartments for families like mine. I have 4 kids. I called up the program director, Ricardo, at least once a week. And people would like tell me, Bobby Joe, you gotta wait. This guy's busy. There's a million people wanting the same thing you do. But I'm like, no. I'd call him, like say once a week, and like I wouldn't even give him any chance to call me back. So I would just be like, well, what are we doing? When are we doing this? We gotta do this now. And bam, got my answer. It was October 15th of 2015. I stopped by Ricardo's office to pick up the keys. And I'm an East LA girl. And I told him, what the, this place is in Inglewood? I was totally out of my comfort zone. But it was 2 buses, 1,000 rides to hell and back. I had to go with it. I mean, we got there and it was this cute little apartment complex. Apartments with, on this side, there was a little walkway. And I had to go with it. So it was on the 2nd floor, apartment 5. Ricardo let me in first. And when I opened the door, wow, I was just, wow. It was amazing. It was just amazing. I mean, the living room was huge. There was a green-brown couch on the side with matching chairs. I love that couch. I still have it. All the 5 of us would fit in it. And if you kept walking through the living room to the right-hand side was the kitchen. It wasn't that great of a kitchen. It wasn't that big, but the counter space, I'd never seen that much counter space in my life, and it was mine. You know, the kids and I actually had a place of our own in Boyle Heights at one point, but it was a studio, maybe 10 by 10, and that included the bathroom and the kitchen, and it had 1 window. And of course, the fridge was right in front of it. So, whenever we needed some sunlight, I would just ask, is you guys ready? Because this is not really pretty. So, mind you, this place was infested with roaches. And I would move the refrigerator right next to the bed. I would ask them if they were ready because I was never ready. I would move the refrigerator and bam, like these motherfuckers would be coming out left and right. Everybody, like, we would be laughing. I mean, they would be laughing, I'd be screaming. And I'd be, I'd clean all night and kill all the roaches, but it didn't matter because those motherfuckers would just come back with friends. Now, Inglewood, it was Inglewood, but it was clean and there was light. And past the kitchen, if you kept going, there was like this little hall that would go into 3 bedrooms. Can you appreciate those numbers? 3 bedrooms. And they were mine. I mean, 1 for the boys, 1 for the girls, and 1 for me. With a bathroom. I mean, I never thought I'd have that. I never thought I deserved it. I would describe myself as a porcelain doll. People would say, "You're so pretty, you're so kind, you're so nice." And really, it would be, yes, I'm a porcelain doll up on the china cabinet with a crack on her back. See, she was broken. I was broken. I was broken. In Boyle Heights, we would, the kids and I, the 3 oldest and me, would just be smashed up against each other in one bed. They would sleep like this, skinny, to make room. So it would be, my oldest son is a football player, by the way. So it would be Daniel, the oldest, then Giovanni, second oldest, and then Danielle, and then me. And then we would put Judy in a suitcase. Of course, I'd keep it open. She was a baby then, so she had outgrown her playpen, and I would put a blanket, and I would put a pillow, and she would sleep in it. I mean, we made it work. In a suitcase. But then I started seeing bed bugs. And I saw one in Danielle's face one time. And I told the landlord, but they didn't care. I withheld rent. The kids are getting big left and right. At one point, I asked them to come and take care of it, but they didn't do anything, they didn't care. They eventually took me to court. And you know, I had so many pictures of the bugs and of the conditions that I didn't have to put to pay back the rent, but they kicked us out. We had to leave. And I thought it was going to be okay. I thought, yeah, this is going to work out. I'm going to call my sister. So I called my sister, asked her to pick us up. She came by. She put the kids in the car. And then she says to me, "Where do you want me to drop you guys off?" Now, I didn't have anywhere to go with my kids. And she'd had it with me. I mean, I didn't blame her. I'd had it with me too. I always told my kids that no matter what, we have each other. But that day, with them in the car, no place to go, I realized that I was fucking lying. Because it's not true, because that wasn't true if they didn't have me. I had so freely given up everything to my addiction. I was hiding meth. I'd stay up all night and watch Intervention, as if that would magically give me the answers to why I was so fucked up. But that day, I decided I'm gonna get my ass into inpatient care. And this time I'm gonna stay. And this time I got clean. And I transformed from this person who smokes meth every day to this person who goes to a job every day. And I got my driver's license, I got a car, I got us a place to heal as a family. I got the girls paint curtains. I mean, I didn't know how to set up a bedroom. Like, they had 2 huge bedrooms. I didn't know how to do it. So the only reference that I had was Leave It to Beaver or something on TV. Like, you know, like 2 single beds, 1 nightstand in the middle. But they loved it. They seemed to absolutely love it. And their smile and the way that they enjoy the place, I felt like finally, as a mother, I had done something really good. To this day, I still sleep better with my youngest ones mashed up against me. You know, the older ones, they've gotten used to it. They've gotten used to their space, they really enjoy it. I don't know if I ever will. But it doesn't matter, because they have a place to grow. They're home. We're home.
Thinking about going to the bathroom too. So the moment I went into the principal's office and I saw two cops with my little brothers, I had a feeling that I knew what this was about. My little brothers, they were just kids. Sharon was 6, Pete was 5. I was the older brother. I was the protector. I was the 3rd grader. I knew I had to be stronger. These cops, they asked a bunch of questions. A bunch of questions like, is anything going on at home? And look, rule number 1 at my house was don't say nothing to no one. So we didn't. But truth was, a lot was going on, especially since Mom married Bob. Bob, he would constantly beat us. Shit, he would just invent reasons to beat us. And so if he knew that we snitched to the police, shit, he would have killed us. The cops, they asked us to look at our bodies. Sharon, he missed like a month of school, and when he got back, he was limping, and he wasn't really saying much. We all had bruises, but when Sharon, he lifted his shirt, his whole side of his body was like yellow and purple, and like greenish black. I just remember one of the cops just saying, like, that's all we need. They brought us to the police station, put us in an empty office. Shit, it felt like we were the ones in trouble. I told my little brothers, everything was gonna be all right, but I was scared to death. This lady, she came in and she was saying, this is, that she's our social worker, that she's looking for, trying to get a hold of her. Our mother wasn't able to, but that they were going to continue to work. They're looking for a house for all 3 of us, but there wasn't one, so we had to go to our separate homes. But she told us it was just for a little while. Now, as a kid, I'm thinking like a little while is literally like 2 weeks. Now, I don't want to be separated from my brothers because, how can I protect them if I'm not with them? But I figured, we can handle a little while. So she drops me off at Miss Blackstone's house, my first foster mom. Miss Blackstone, she was from Louisiana. She had a really fun accent and cooked Cajun style food. Shit was hot, but it was good. She was a good mom, She was good at being a mom, and she had a son, Craig. He didn't like me very much, didn't want me to be there. And he let me know. He let me know by hitting me. We shared a room, so that happened a lot. Anyway, 2 weeks went by, no one said a word. A little while it turned into a month. And then finally we had a court date. So Miss Blackstone brings me to the court, drops me off at the kids' room at the courthouse. Sharon and Pete are already there, and they're looking like they're doing pretty good. Sharon was talking a little bit more. I told them, I was doing good, and we were like really excited because we thought our mom was going to be there. We were going to go home with her, but she didn't show up. And so after the adults, finished everything that they were doing, we went to our separate homes. A couple months went by. It was Christmas time, and I had a week off, and I was able to go to my grandma's house. And my brothers weren't there, but my Uncle Jerry, my cousin Nikki, my cousin Sharice, both of them were there. And it felt like family. It felt like home again. My mom even showed up. She brought me a present. We cried. I asked her, if I was gonna go home with her. She told me she was working on it. Assured me that it was just going to be for a little while. So I went home and man, it just felt like I came up for a big breath of fresh air, you know? I needed it. But when I got back, things got worse with Craig. He woke me up in the morning by getting into bed with me. Now, I didn't understand what was going on. He started putting his hands all over me. And I didn't want him to, you know, I tried to stop and push him away, but he was bigger than me, he was stronger. He was a 6th grader. He told me that if I told anyone, he would know and he would kill me. But shit, I'm sitting right here, so he was lying. And you know, as a kid, I just thought being strong meant being silent. And I was strong, so that's what I did. A year and a half went by. 547 days went by, and you know, winter into spring, spring to summer, back to school in the fall, another Christmas, another spring. I don't know how I stayed so strong. I just did, and I had school, I had friends. I saw my brothers at court once a month. I was allowed to see my grandma for church on Sundays. You know, it just kind of all just became normal. One morning, I went down to the kitchen, and Miss Blackstone, she was frying up some eggs. I just remember she turned around with a big old smile. She told me that they found you a home. They found you a home where you and your brothers can be together. It was like I got shot in the chest. I fell to my knees and we cried together. We ate breakfast. Goddamn, those fried eggs were the best fucking eggs. Oh my goodness. I remember walking up to my foster mom's house. Big old porch, and Miss Flowers was waiting out there for me. And instantly I just knew that she was really kind. She reminded me of my grandma. And Pete and Sharon, they were already there. And they came flying out of the house and tackled me, and I fell backwards, and we were wrestling and hugging and laughing and just like, just like we were together, you know what I mean? And those days, those were the best days of our childhood. We loved Miss Flowers and her forest green house and that big old porch. And it was nice. We were together, a family, again. And there weren't any Bobs. There were no Craigs. Just us. And nothing was going to separate us. At least for a little while.
I was 10 years old when I was at my birth mom's funeral. There was this guy standing off to the side. He didn't talk to me, but he had my mom's name tattooed on his arm. Jesse. In big bold letters. I wondered about that man for a really long time. Especially when I was taking a beating from my foster mom. She blamed me for everything that went wrong in her life, including her husband abusing me and then disappearing. One day my caseworker showed up and she told me she was going to take me to see my real dad in person. I was like, wow. I didn't know what to think. I was so nervous. But I remember when I first met my papi, that's what I called him, papi. He was looking so sharp, you know. He was sporting a goatee, and he had patent leather shoes on. And of course, he had my mother's name tattooed on his arm. We talked for hours, and he gave me so many hugs. And I was so happy to finally meet him. But a little while later, the caseworker came back and she took me back to my foster mother. And she said I couldn't see him ever again. I don't know why. But it didn't matter. Because you know what? From the first moment that I met my papi, I understood love. Soon after my 18th birthday, my foster mom kicked me out. No hug, no goodbye, just go. I had no idea what I was going to do, so I prayed. And God spoke to me, because He does that. And He said, go and be with your papi. So I did. I got my stuff together and I moved to Rochester because that's where he was living. And a little while after I got myself settled, I called my cousin Cookie and I was like, hey girl, I'm here and I'm ready to get to know my papi. And she said, oh really? Really? Let me tell you something about your papi. He's a kingpin. He's the #1 drug dealer in all of New York and Chicago. And I was like, what? He didn't look like no kingpin to me. I don't know what to think. What? The next day, I got up, I put on my favorite pair of burgundy boots and my matching burgundy vest, and I set out to see my papi. I went to his house, he opened the door, I walked in, he looked at me with this big smile from ear to ear, and he was so proud. And he said, yeah, that's my girl. And I was in heaven. He gave me the biggest hug. It was amazing. We got to know each other in the coming months. You know, he told me about his childhood and how his father had left when he was a little boy and how he had to become the man of the house and take over, and he had to go out and get a job and he had to support his family. He had siblings. He also told me how he got started in the drug world and about the murders. He killed people. I was really sad to hear that. But at the same time, you know, I really wanted to get to know my father. And I was so in love with him, and I was so happy that I didn't care what he'd done. And besides, you know, I had a new mission in life. And that was to get my papi out of the drug world. I just didn't know how I was gonna do it. But then one day, God spoke to me again. He said, Lynn, today is the day that you go and you talk to your papi. And I was like, for real? Me? All right. So I called my girlfriend and I told her, I said, look, God spoke and today is the day. And she dropped everything. She came and got me. We got in the car, we drove to my papi's house. We knocked on the door, he opened it up and he was like, come in, come in. We sat down. My girlfriend didn't play, she got right to it. She was like, Lynn, open the Bible. Opened it up. And she looked at my papi and she said, God has spoken to your daughter and he told her that she is to talk to you about coming back to his kingdom. Y'all should have seen the look on my papi's face. He was like, what am I in for? You know that look that people give when you try to talk to them about God? Y'all know, yeah. You on one end of that, right? Well, he did that, you know, and I just went with it. You know, I started reading the Bible to him and I started to try to give it to him and he was like, right away, shut down. He said, no, 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 no. And his eyes got wide, you know, like really, really wide. And I felt this heaviness and this darkness kind of fill the room. And I was like, I'm gonna go. And I got up to leave and he screamed, don't go! Don't go! I'll tell you! And I was like, tell me what? And he looked up and he said, I sold my soul to Satan. Just like that. And I looked at my girlfriend and she looked at me and we was like, So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop reading. So I opened the Bible and I just got myself together and I started to give him the word of God. Put on the full armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. And let me tell you, when I came to the last word of that verse, his eyes rolled back, his body went limp, and we were like, okay, Jesus, hallelujah. For the next month, I tell you, he called me up one day, he said, Lee, come over here. You gotta come over. I'm like, what's going on? Let me go over there. So I get over there and I'm walking up the street. I hear Al Green's gospel music coming from my papi's house. I'm like, what the heck? I walk in the door, the Bible's open on the table. He's got the 700 Club playing. I'm like, okay. What's going on? You know, he was a changed man. I was so happy. It was the best time. For the next month, he came to every single church service with me. He came to every single Bible study with me. And he went to every single choir service. He quit cold turkey. He changed his life. And I was in heaven. I had my papi. And life was good. It was a Tuesday when I felt a punch in my gut. I was working my shift at the truck stop. And I doubled over and let out a groan. And I knew it was God telling me that something wasn't right. And then my coworker came in and said that my grandmother was on the phone. And I knew what she was gonna say before I even put the phone to my ear. She said, "I'm sorry, baby. Your father was killed. He was shot and murdered execution style. He tried to get out, but they wouldn't let him. I cried a long time after I lost him. All my life, all I ever wanted was a father, a papi. And now he was gone. Sometime later, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and God spoke to me again. And as I listened to his voice, a peace came over me. And at that moment, I knew that no matter where I went, and no matter what I did, even though my papi was gone, his love would always be with me. It's with me now. Thank you.
When I was a little kid, I had this small window in my room, about 9 by 9 inches. And just about every night, I climbed out the window and go explore. And every night I went exploring, I'd go just a little bit further than I had the night before, and then come back home. And when I turned 11, I went further than I'd ever been. And I was finally brave enough to not come back. Brave probably ain't the right word. I felt safer out there than at home. My house was the worst one in my neighborhood. Peeling paint, broken windows, screen door hanging off the hinges. Inside were pimps, prostitutes, gangsters, hustlers, and my mother. My mother ran an escort service with one of the pimps. And I was fascinated by those beautiful women. How they could count on my mother for things. Count on her to look out. I remember thinking, how can I get some of that? You see, I always wanted a real home. Safe, warm, with a mom who actually paid attention to me. The closest I ever got was the one time a pimp put me on his knee and said, "Take a swig of this black velvet. It'll make a man out of you. Put hairs on your chest." Now, I took that swig of velvet and I pulled up my shirt and waited for the hairs to pop out. I checked every day, but the hair never grew. After I left home, I was sleeping in parks, on the side of people's houses. That's when I started stealing. Small shit at first. You know, food from the grocery store, food from somebody's garden, climbing trees to steal apples. You do what you gotta do when you're hungry. As I got older, I got into more serious stuff. Selling crack on the block, running with gang members, things of that nature. The whole time I knew I could go home if I wanted, but I never planned on it, but I knew I could. It was like a safety net in the back of my mind, right? And it's not that I didn't love my mother. Even though I run away, she knew I was around, and whenever she called me, I'd come right away. I'm loyal like that. I was waiting and hoping that one day she asked me to come home. But before I knew it, 3 years had passed, and I had just done a year in YA, that's Youth Authority, after catching my second drug charge. I was living over at my friend Capone's place, and his mother always spent the night at her girlfriend's house. So me and him was able to get up to all kinds of mischief, you know? It was the spot. It was always like, meet me over at Capone's spot. I'm gonna see you tonight at TT's spot. Everybody knew about the spot. And this one summer night in August, there's still light on. I come back to my mom's place to grab something real quick. I don't really remember what. Like maybe to visit my little brothers, just an in and out kind of thing. And my mom's in the bathroom, and she calls for me, TT! And she knows I'm pretending not to hear. So she screams, "Boy, get your narrow ass over here!" And for the first time, I bounce up and I say, I gotta go. I gotta go. And that's what I did. I dip out, hop on the bus, back to the spot. Now early the next morning, Capone's waking me up saying, Shona, one of my mom's girls, is outside asking for me. You know, what she want. I go out front and Shona tell me, your mama wanna talk to you. So I'm like, fuck. I'm thinking I haven't done anything wrong, but what does she want? Still, my mom calls, I go, like I said. So Shona drives me across town, and we get to my neighborhood, we turn onto my street, and the whole block, it's fire trucks, police cars, a whole ass crime scene. Then as we push up on it, I see it's my house. Now I get out the car and the fire chief comes up to me, asking who I am. I tell him, and I'm just on the curb, looking back across the street at my house. All the windows are blown out. It's black. It's not burned down, it's burnt out. And the fire chief comes up and says, you know, this here is arson. Looks at me for a second, bends over and says, I'm sorry, but your mother perished in the fire. Now, it took me a moment for his words to register, but then it hit me fast. I never cried that hard before since. You know what I'm saying? And I was just stuck, looking, not sure what to do, half thinking it's a dream or a nightmare, right? And then I see the coroner take what's left of my mother out the house, put her in a hearse, and that was it. She is gone. Our last interaction had been her calling for me, and I didn't go. It could have been on a whole different level, more respectful type, try giving her a hug or something, just anything different than what it was. Me being disobedient. I don't know how long I was out there looking at the house I always thought I could go back to. And even though I've been on my own for the past 3 years, it was at that moment I realized I was really on my own. I was never gonna get that home or that mom I always wanted. Now I was alone. For real.
I think I always made my mother uncomfortable. I like to feel good, bad, happy, sad. I love feeling. But my mom, she likes routine. I could tell you what color socks she was wearing today. Me, I like adventure. Even as a baby, I was brought home on Christmas Day. Surprise! A Capricorn baby. What a gift. I like to feel life intensely, and the emotion, it pours out of me. It was always difficult for my mom. She's a Cancer. My mom, of course, biggest partier in the world. She used to say things like, I gave up my life for you kids, and this is what I get in return. Yeah, she made sure that there was food on the table, but there wasn't this lovey, huggy, kissy feeling. If she had emotions, she was sure good at hiding them. She was all about responsibility. So you can imagine how she felt when she found out I totaled her car. I was 18, driving in Chinatown, when someone made a left-hand turn on me and T-boned me. When I got home, I thought, I don't know, she might care. She didn't. She didn't care. I was there and I didn't know what to say. I don't think my mom liked being around me much. So I ran away. Capricorn, I'll tell you, I am emotional and I just react quickly. I packed my bags and I ran away to Mexico with my boyfriend. His grandma, she lived in Guadalajara, and I thought, wow, that sounds exciting. So I packed all my stuff and we jumped in the car with my dog Gemini, who was such a Gemini, and we drove. And we drove and we drove, and eventually we made it to Grandma's house. Amachui was her name, C-H-U-Y. It was the female version of Jesus. Jesus? She was a Cancer like my mom, but Amachui was much different. She welcomed me into her big home that was filled with wildflowers, and it smelled like pine sol and fresh masa. And it was always filled with family. I loved it. It was so much different than home. There was this one time, right, where right down the street they had what they called a tianguis. It was an outdoor market where they would have children running around and couples kissing and balloons, and we went, and I wanted to buy a soda, and everyone saying, no Coca-Cola, Sita, and apparently at the time there was a rumor going around that a man had worked at the Coca-Cola plant and he had fallen into the Coca-Cola and he had AIDS, so nobody would buy the Coca-Cola. Crazy, right? And then there was this other time that Amachui, she wanted to make enchiladas. She taught me how to make the sauce with fresh chilies and garlic, and we would grind it all up in the molcajete. And then David and I, we went back to the Tianguis to get the chicken. They had this cage here where they had a bunch of chickens, and they would grab them and pull them out and chop off their heads and then slice their neck and start plucking the feathers out. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, they just sit there, grab them, rip them out, chop off the heads, and just plume them. My face was like, I don't know. So me and David, we went back to the house and we brought it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to eat this chicken. But Amachui, she wanted me to start shredding the body. So I'm like, well, someone's got to do it. So I'm trying to be compliant. And as I'm doing it, I'm saying to myself, I should have stayed in high school. You know, I could be in prom right now, but no, I'm here, and we get it, and we put it on the plate, and it's beautiful. But I can't eat it. It's just, I don't know. And then David tells her, oh, she's sick, and Amachui, she's so sweet. She says, eat, it'll make you feel better. I had to get up and hurl. And the next day, she made me chicken salad to make me feel better. Mexico, it was like being inside of a dream filled with color. I mean, everyone felt. Couples fought, children cried, mothers, I'm the choice she scolded, and her with her broken English and me with my broken Spanish, we got into it once or twice. But I know she cared. David and we got into this fight once, and she brought me into her room, and she locked the door, and she held me so tightly. She was protective. She always had my back. I don't know, it was like she liked me. So yeah, I guess I would have liked to stay longer. But it didn't last long with David and I don't even know what sign he was. Probably an Aquarius, Pisces maybe. Amachoy made sure I made it to the airport, and she cried the whole entire way. She kept Gemini, my dog. A Cancer and a Gemini, could you imagine? I mean, what a match, right? I was nervous about going back home. Sure. I thought maybe my mom, she would have missed me. It had been a few months. But when I got home, I opened the door, and my mom, well, she never yells. I could feel the color just straight out of me. Everything went black and white. And her? She didn't let out a single peep. Very even-keeled she was. She never showed emotion. At least not with me.
When I was 14, my mom moved us to Belize, where she's from. I mean, you know Belize. It's like Jamaica, man. Hey, man, that's me boy, hey, coconut water. That's how they go. She married a guy she'd been talking to for a year. And because I was raised by her father, I didn't know what it was like growing up with a man in the house. So you know, my testosterone was flowing. You know, I'm really smelling myself, you know. And I think I'm somebody. And he's like, dude, you got it fucked up. I'm putting clothes on your back, food on the table. You obey by my rules. So I say, hey, Mom, I love you. But I can't stay here with this guy. So I moved with my boy Antonio. We split an apartment, $200 a month, 100. I'm like, cool. Got a job, work in the grocery store, delivery boy, got money in my pocket. So it's work, party, sleep, repeat. My aunties and uncles and cousins, they put their money together to send my siblings to school. Didn't even ask me. They were like, yo, we hear Abraham is out in the streets. He's doing this, he's doing that. So we're not gonna waste our time. And I would have gone. I would have cleaned up my act. But they just made the decision. That was disappointing. you should give people the benefit of the doubt sometimes. Okay, so it was Antonio, Kendall, me, and we had, what's the other boy's name? Asani. Okay. Antonio, he was kind of like the leader, all right? Asani, his family had a little bit of money, so he was trying to prove that he was tough all the time. Kendall, he was kind of like an orphan, but he smoked a hell of a lot of weed. And I guess I was the one who, kind of thought a little bit more about things sometimes. Oh yeah. We had this friend called Stranger, right? I mean, I'm not sure what they call him, Stranger, but he was a little older than us, 30s, 40s, had a good job down at the docks, loading containers on the ships. He'd get his beer, let us ride his bike sometimes. And he used to get a lot of shit too. People be like, yo, why you hanging out with those teenage boys? You a bad influence. His sister told him, you should do something good for a change. So, one day, Stranger comes up to us and says, hey, we're gonna go to church. We're like, what? For real? Look, church? But we had a lot of respect for him, so we thought, it couldn't kill us. So we go. But we're gonna party tonight, right? So we show up, late. The preacher's already addressing the Congress, the congregation, and as soon as we walk in, they turn around and they just look at us. They wearing all their nice church clothes and shit, and we come in jeans, FUBU jerseys, and bandanas. And only seats were at the very front. So as we walked past everybody, they just looked at us like dogs. They didn't say anything, but we could see it in their eyes, though, right? After everything was all done, when people are socializing and, they're doing what church people do, they say, welcome to our church, please come again, But there was no welcome. There was nothing. It was thanks for coming, now there's the door. So the next week, when Stranger comes to us and says, hey, church is gonna be a regular thing, we were like, hell no! Ain't no way we going back there. But I thought about it and I said, yeah, I'll go. See, the thing is, I knew the Bible. I grew up going to church, so I believed in God. So when we showed up the next week, I pulled the preacher aside and I said, can you give me 5 minutes to read something? Oh, whoa, hey, you're on a tight schedule here. I said, yo, just give me 5 minutes. Then he just starts pumping up, young man. And then one of the old church ladies stand up, like one of those short, stocky church ladies, that you don't want to mess with. She said, get a boy a chance. You can tell he didn't want to, but he gave in. So they sang his songs, he spoke, and then when he was done, he turned to me and said, everybody, Abraham would like to share something with us. So I walked up. I could hear everybody speaking under their voice and groaning, But I ignored it. When I got there, I opened the Bible to the story where the devil tempted Jesus for 40 days and 40 nights. And I gave this little speech about how we're all tempted by the devil sometimes. But it's up to us as a person to do right or wrong. And nobody's perfect. And at the end of the day, it's our decision to do right or wrong. And God loves us. See, the thing is, people tend to look down on other people because they're either homeless or they're thugs. But God loves us all the same. And before I was finished, like, the whole place just erupted. Everyone was clapping and stomping. And then my boys in the back, they're like, we with him, that's big boy. And after that, people came up to me, they were shaking my hand saying, oh, that was so great. And the pastor, he comes up to me and he shakes my hand. He felt bad. Don't judge a book by its cover. After that, they invited us to barbecues, fundraisers, picnics, hikes, the beach. But we became a part of that church. It was like one big family. It felt nice to belong somewhere, you know. And plus, there was a lot of cute girls there. But seriously, it felt good to belong.
Broken pavement, rusted sleeves, fading lamplights shining. I'm just waiting on a dream. If only I could sleep. Random thoughts on random nights, random lows and random heights. You have a place in this world, and here I stand. Where are you right now? In the sky or on the ground? Are you looking up or are you looking down? Are you lost or are you found? I'll be here. You come around. I look through washed out photographs to see me smile, to see me laugh. You have a place in my dreams, and here I stand. Where are you right now? In the sky or on the ground? Are you looking up or are you looking down? Are you lost or are you found? I'll be here. I have a place in this world, like a diamond or a pearl. You make me think I'm what you see, 'cause here I stand. So where are you right now? In the sky or on the ground? Are you looking up or are you looking down? Are you lost or are you found? I'll be here. Where are you right now? when you come around.
Give it up for Tina, guys. Give it up for her. And let's hear it for all the actors, all the performers on stage. I just want to say real quick, are there any storytellers in the audience, any writers here by any chance? From the performance, from Homeward LA. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's plenty of writers out here. But from Homeward LA. It's LA, I know. Homeward LA, anybody? Okay, I want to give it up for them one more time. All the writers, all these stories you heard are real stories. So all these stories that they performed actually happened to real people. Many of them you saw in the video, and that's what makes it even more powerful.
Can we, that director, producer, Johnny Rey Diaz.
Producers up, producers up. There's a couple things I just want to share real quick that we have to, just to get out of the way. We wish to express our gratitude to the Performers Unions, Actors Equity, American Guild of Musical Artists, American Guild of Variety Artists, SAG-AFTRA, through Theater Authority, for the cooperation in permitting the artists to appear in this program. I just want to say that, first of all, thank you guys so much for being here. We had a goal for this specific performance, or this production, to hit $2,000. Before the show even started, we already have $1,500. So, the goal so far for Homeward LA is to hit $100,000. Last year they did $55,000. Within 2 days of this production so far, we've already hit $55,000. So, I think a lot of it just goes to show how much people resonate with this. You know, it's in our backyard. Sometimes we choose to kind of ignore it. We don't really think about it, but it's there. It's prevalent. It's real. And, you know, it's because of people like you. I want to really thank you guys for coming out here and supporting us, because a lot of people really, really benefit from the Midnight Mission. It's a real thing. I've seen it, and it's beautiful. It really is. A couple last things they want us to mention. Also, if you felt moved by the performance, which I hope you all did, there is an option to donate right there on the screen. That's simple. Text Homeward LA to 71777 to donate. We also have a cash jar over there. Ash, raise your hand. Hannah, thank you guys, by the way. So, if you felt compelled, please, everything that you can donate helps to get to our goal, but most importantly, to help somebody in need. The last thing I want to say is, if you guys have any more questions about the Midnight Mission, visit midnightmission.org or homewardla.org to get more information about this program, and hopefully next year we triple these numbers. So, anything else you want to say? All I have to say is that let's hear from these guys one more time. And for you guys, thank you so much for coming out. I hope that you guys will stay, because also I want to say thank you to the Iron Triangle. They were amazing. They donated this venue for us to be here. Thank you to Chipotle. They donated food. The 3 Little Chair Company, the chairs you're sitting in, were donated as well. So thank you to them as well. And thank you guys. Please hang out for a little while, mingle, have fun. I love you guys.